So
that's a fantastic city. A lot of great things that I've heard of.
Incredible. 75 miles southwest of Sioux City, which is maybe where you flew in from.
Maybe.
Yeah. 75 miles. Going 75, that sounds like about an hour trip.
Yeah.
55 minutes, 80 miles an hour.
But then it was like getting out of the airport, the craziness that is the Sioux City airport.
Yeah.
Let's start this the right way here. Mic it up good.
Yeah. Justin's drinking Mountain Dew Zero. I'm drinking Des Moines tap water.
Oh, you're drinking shit water,
Which is worse? Which is worse for you?
Probably the water right now, right?
I don't know.
Although it is still, I think, as of now, still below the federally mandated levels of nitrate, right?
Yeah, I think they've been going down a little bit with all the rain we've been getting.
Yeah, that's probably good. So you're drinking, what, 19 milligrams per liter?
That would be, that's a little high. I think the federal limit is like 10.
I thought it was 20.
No, unless they're like secretly raising it and only telling you about it. No,
see,
I think it's like 8,
I was saying,
which is not good either.
Like I was saying last time we discussed this, I don't ever retain the information that I read about this topic. I remember like a general thing, like there's a limit, but what is the number? I don't know. It escapes my mind.
Welcome to this podcast. That's kind of how we treat a lot of subjects.
Oh yeah,
but yeah, I'm not a pregnant woman, so it's probably fine.
Sure, and you're probably not a baby.
And like I don't know, cancer. It's like
you got to get it somewhere.
You can beat it a lot of time.
I mean, we're all going to get it eventually. You might as well. It's sort of like chicken pox, like you might as well inoculate yourself, get it young.
Herd immunity for cancer.
It works. Okay. Well, this is Rock Hard Caucus. This is, right now it is June 29th of 2025. We are nearing the end of Pride Month. Shame will be returning in a couple of days. We'll be entering the months of shame. We have 11 shame months and 1 Pride Month.
Yeah. We have a bunch of 11 gray months and 1 rainbow colored month.
Yes. Gray and beige and sort of dark, sick green.
Earth tones. Yeah, earth tones.
Yeah. This is our 204th episode. If you're just tuning in for the first time, this is a podcast about Iowa and all the shit that's happening here. And sometimes we talk about how some alternatives might be better. We'll see if we come up with any good ideas today. First topic of discussion is a very important event is happening later this week. I'm reading from Iowa's News Now. President Trump coming to Iowa ahead of 4th of July holiday. He is going to be in Des Moines at the fairgrounds on July 3rd, this coming Thursday. Are you going to go? Evan, you going to be there?
I am not planning to be there. Now, I know that you, Justin,
I did
have been...
RSVP.
Oh, you did? I was going to say, you've already seen Trump speak at the fair.
That's true.
And we both saw Air Force One or whatever plane he was on fly over the fair.
Well, that couldn't have been Air Force One, right? Because he wasn't president at the time.
Oh, you're totally right.
Yeah.
It would have been whatever Trump Force One.
Yeah.
Whatever private plane that he has.
Well, yeah, he okay. We'll get into this in these couple of articles because his campaign or whatever said that he was going to be at the Iowa State Fair, which is in August.
Yeah.
But now he's going to be at the fairgrounds on July 3rd. Is he really going to be here twice in such rapid succession?
I doubt it. I think that's a bait and switch.
Maybe. All right. President Donald Trump is kicking off America's 250th birthday by hosting a speech at the Iowa State Fairgrounds next month. The Register reports he will deliver a speech at 7:30 p.m. on July 3rd. It'll be his first visit to Iowa since his return to the White House. 2 years ago, Trump proposed a year-long celebration from 2025 through July 4th, 2026. Sorry, July 4th, 2026, which is the country's 250th birthday. Yeah, the White House calendar previously noted he would be at the Iowa State Fair on August 7th. So we'll find out if the president's really going to be here in the state of Iowa on both July 3rd and August 7th. Seems like a lot of time to spend here.
Yeah. For
not
little
in the campaign
us,
year.
a state that's solidly red.
Yeah. Do we really get to bask in his glow that much? I don't know. There is a little bit more information included in this Little Village article by Paul Brennan. President Trump's, quote, monumental celebration at the Iowa State Fairgrounds is set, but details are scant. I wonder if this is going to be another of those like military parade type letdowns where there's all this hype and then it's just like a boring nothing.
Yeah. I don't think this is going to turn his approval ratings around.
America 250, the organization coordinating Trump-endorsed activities related to next year's 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence, has released a little more information on President Trump's planned visit to the Iowa State Fairgrounds, but only a little more. There's some really funny stuff from Paul Brennan here. As anyone who has attended a Trump event knows, he typically takes the stage later than the scheduled time, which is 7:30, and then spends the next 5 to 10 minutes gyrating to songs on the playlist he's been using for the past decade.
He's like a washed-up rapper. He's like, doesn't come out on time. Just kind of half-asses it.
Yeah. There are a few quotes here from America 250, the organization that's putting these events on. This is what we can expect from America 250 for the next year, because we will be celebrating this great nation's birthday for an entire year. You know how some people have like, oh, it's my birth month, and they celebrate all month.
That's so fucking lame. You're just trying to get more presents. Like that's, I think that is actually a motivating factor. Trump just wants more presents. He wants more planes from Qatar or whatever.
Yeah.
Just give him presents. That's all he really wants. You could bribe him so easily.
Scrooge McDuck bags of coins.
Why not celebrate every year? You know?
Well, don't we? I mean, isn't that what Independence Day is?
Yeah. I mean, if we're going to be super nationalists, we should be celebrating America constantly.
Mm-hmm. Some people are.
That's true. They are.
This momentous gathering in the heartland signals the beginning of an extraordinary year ahead, one where America 250 will unite our nation through events in every state and territory, culminating in the most monumental celebration our country has ever known. And country is capitalized for some reason. Every state and territory. Really?
Interesting.
Yeah, what are all the territories?
Trump's going to go back to Puerto Rico and throw some more paper towels around.
Yeah, we're going to have in American Samoa, we're going to have one of these big celebrations. We've got something going on in Guam, I think.
U.S. Virgin Islands.
Yeah. Going to get some great attendance at those, probably. The monumental celebration will be offering patriotism, excitement, inspiration, and a glimpse into the grand festivities planned for America's 250th anniversary. The Iowa State Fair doesn't have any information about the event on its site or on its social media accounts. And again, it's in 4 days. I mean, I guess it is kind of remarkable that he's coming here the day before the 4th of July, right? That's kind of like prime real estate on the presidential calendar, I would think. And he's going to be right here.
He just loves the fairgrounds.
Yeah.
It's one of his favorite places to be.
Clearly. Whatever Trump's event turns out to be, it won't be the Great American State Fair, the 250th celebration he first announced as a candidate in 2023. Do you remember this? I had forgotten about this.
I don't remember that.
Trump described the Great American State Fair as a year-long exhibition at the Iowa State Fairgrounds, starting on Memorial Day this year, so that time has already passed, which would showcase the glory of every state in the Union, promote pride in our history, and put forth innovative visions for America's future. Okay. Despite mentioning it several times during his last campaign, it appears that Trump's team did nothing to make it happen. What? A broken promise?
What?
One of
That's
his
wild.
stupid ramblings didn't amount to anything in reality. Following Trump's election victory last year, the CEO of the Iowa State Fair told the Des Moines Register, no formal request or inquiry has been made for use of the Iowa State Fairgrounds at this time.
Okay.
So that's kind of sad. We were supposed to have basically a boring museum set up for a year at this fairgrounds.
Yeah. Yeah, I was
reason
thinking
to go there year round.
a lot of people are going to probably bring their kids. Like, did you see a lot of kids at the other Trump event you went to at the fairgrounds?
I don't recall many children being there.
Oh. Well, that was it. Well, I guess this one's also pretty late at night.
Yeah.
Anyway, I can just imagine being so disillusioned by this as a child. Like, your parents are like super gung ho about going to see the fucking president speak. And it's like probably one of the most depressing. Like, I don't know. I can't really imagine things much more depressing than that. Like,
it was
as
pretty
a child,
boring last time. Yeah.
and as an adult. But
I do have to think that this time around he'll be, because last time, God, I think that was 2021 that we went and saw him. So things were not going super great for him at that time. Things are, well, he is the president again now, at least.
Yeah, but I would say things are not going super great for him right now either.
Why is that?
He's doing a bunch of fuck shit.
But he likes
trying to drag us into stupid wars on behalf of Israel.
Yeah, that clip of him saying they don't know what the fuck they're doing, he does seem pretty frazzled and like shaken by what he's gotten us into.
Yeah. And the tariffs and just being a fucking insane person and all of like the big beautiful bill shit, which
it's not going the way he wanted, certainly.
Yeah.
Well, they were discussing this on the Cedar Rapids Gazette podcast a couple days ago. It's called On Iowa Politics Podcast. Never listened to that myself, but I'm sure more people listen to that than our show, simply because it's established legacy media production. But our friend Dexter, I guess, does listen to it regularly, and he posted about this, so he brought this to my attention. But they had Althea Cole on the On Iowa Politics podcast, which I don't think she is regularly on those episodes. I think they had her on special. This is kind of like a special occasion.
Yeah, I mean, they probably would ruin their podcast if they had her on every time. Like, she's going with she's going to make them all look bad.
Yeah, another perspective, because I think most newspaper journalists are probably at least fairly liberal, right? But they were discussing, what's Trump going to talk about, and Althea had this is a few clips kind of spliced together, but this is kind of what she was saying about what she expects of Trump's speech this week.
Compared to Mr. President, or I guess they're calling him Daddy this week, compared to Daddy. I'm sorry, I can't do that. People are calling him Daddy now, which is, Daddy's got to use tough language sometime. The whole Daddy thing.
So that was like 4 or 5 times she called him Daddy.
Yeah, for someone who seems to have an aversion to it, why do you just say it like fucking a dozen times in one sentence?
Well, that was, again, a few different clips spliced together.
Okay.
I wanted to just emphasize how many times she said it after pretending to be disgusted by it. I mean, clearly, if you're going to keep saying it, like, you don't have that much of a problem with it, right? I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know what circles she's running in, but I do know that, you can probably find her on an online dating site if you want to. I don't know.
You want to get into that?
No. If you know, you know. Anyway.
Yeah. So Daddy's coming to visit. He's got visitation this weekend here in Iowa. We're going to spend the weekend with Daddy. Big holiday weekend with Daddy. That's what's happening here in Iowa at the end of this week. And we're all excited about it. We're gonna rent a movie or something. Maybe he'll show a really long scene from the movie Patton again. That's what he did last time I saw him at the fairgrounds.
Maybe screen 2019 Cats. I feel like that would be a good one.
Yeah, totally. All right, so I yeah, I RSVP'd. I might drive over to Des Moines on Thursday. We'll see if I really feel up to that. Might be a waste of time, but I could hang out with Evan, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I'm down to hang out, but I don't think I'm gonna brave the Iowa State Fairgrounds to see Daddy.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about something a little bit more. I'd say this is probably more important. And this was also brought to my attention by one of our listeners. I did see a headline about this, but I wasn't paying close enough attention. Okay, a little background on this. In 2021, the Iowa Supreme Court ruled that citizens do have an expectation of privacy for garbage that they put out on the curb. Mm-hmm. So cops should not be searching your garbage on the curb without a warrant of some kind.
Yeah,
which
because that trash it's not property. That's my property. If I put my trash out on the curb, that's still my property.
Right.
Fuck off.
And I think that this, at the time, even was at odds with federal rulings on the matter, where garbage is generally considered abandoned property, even when it's still like at the curb. And so there's not really an expectation of privacy. But there's been some back and forth, legal arguments about this. Like, is it abandoned property? Do you really have an expectation of privacy when it's out there, like basically in the street and anyone walking by could look in, But for the past few years, cops were supposed to get warrants to search our garbage. But the Iowa legislature in 2023 passed a law altering the state code, which I will read now. This is we're getting really academic now. We're reading from the Iowa State Code. This is section 808, exception to search warrant requirement, garbage searches. So this is a law passed in 2023 by the Iowa legislature. It is the public policy of this state that a person has no reasonable expectation of privacy in garbage placed outside of the person's residence for waste collection in a publicly accessible area. A city or county shall only adopt an ordinance or regulation concerning waste management and sanitation for the purposes of promoting public health and cleanliness. An ordinance or regulation adopted by a city or county shall not be construed by a person to create a reasonable expectation of privacy in garbage placed outside of the person's residence for waste collection in a publicly accessible area. So this is yet another example of the state sort of wrenching control away from municipalities, where, towns could, prior to this, theoretically pass a law that's like, your garbage is your property until it's, taken away by the garbage man. But the state said, no, you may not, this is tyranny. for a city to declare your garbage your property, that's wrong.
I think it is. I mean, have you ever thrown something away and then been like, oh fuck, I needed that, and then had to like dig through your trash to get it back?
Yeah.
Everyone's had to do that.
Yeah,
therefore,
my retainer.
It's my fucking property. If it's still on my property, it's my property.
Yeah, I'd say so. And I mean, well, okay, this segment that we're doing now is really dedicated to our criminal listeners. I know that a lot of fans of this podcast are regularly committing crimes, and some of those crimes leave behind some type of evidence, right? So this is like kind of a PSA to our friends, the criminals. That evidence that's left behind following your criminal activity, you need to be careful when you dispose of that evidence. Don't just put it in your personal trash can and leave it outside your house, because if somebody tips off the cops to your criminal activity, they can just pull that evidence out of your garbage.
Yeah.
That's literally what happened that ended up changing the way that this works.
Yeah. And you shouldn't litter either, but you should find, some kind of public place, perhaps not under camera surveillance,
which
to
we'll
dispose
get into that as well.
of your evidence.
Yeah, it's getting harder and harder for criminals to go about their business. And even if you're not right now a criminal, you should be concerned about that, because some criminal activity people should be able to get away with in order for us to have a free society.
Yeah.
Right?
Not littering though. Again, not littering. That's one crime that is You cannot.
It's a
cannot
cardinal sin. Yeah.
It's one of the worst.
It's a sin against humanity and the environment and everything. Not just humanity, but all living creatures.
Mm-hmm.
Continuing with our reading of the Iowa State Code, what if we just read all of the Iowa State Code beginning to end for a podcast?
Maybe if we had a cool lawyer with us.
That could be actually informative. Boring for long stretches.
We just
certainly.
ask questions. Like we just come up with like dumb hypotheticals the entire time and make them tell us if it's feasible.
Yeah. Okay. So number 3 of section 808-16. I'm going to say chapter 808 verse 16, like we're reading the Bible. Garbage placed outside of a person's residence for waste collection in a publicly accessible area shall be deemed abandoned property and shall not be considered to be constitutionally protected papers or effects of the person. And then lastly, a peace officer may conduct a search and may seize garbage placed outside of a person's residence for waste collection in a publicly accessible area without making an application for a search warrant. All right. So that 2021 Iowa Supreme Court ruling is obviously at odds with this change to the Iowa state law, which happened in 2023. So what's the process here? Basically what happened was, so the 2021 decision was a State v. Wright, which kind of changed things and made cops have to get a warrant. And the new ruling, let me get the name of that because I forgot what it was. This was earlier this month, a decision on June 13th in the case of, it was an appeals court thing. The appeal came from Charles Aaron Amble and John Joseph Mandrakia, who, and I'm reading from the Des Moines Register here, piece by William Morris. In 2023, under the auspices of that law, the change in the law, Des Moines police followed up on a tip about suspected drug trafficking to search the trash of Charles Amble and John Mandrakia, finding evidence that resulted in drug charges. Okay? And these are the exact type of crimes I'm talking about. You know, if you have drugs and you got to throw something away related to those drugs, well, you got to be careful with where you put that. Even more so now. The two men challenged the constitutionality of the 2023 law, and the district court sided with them, holding that the legislature cannot trump the Iowa Supreme Court's interpretation of the state constitution. So it ends up rising up. It keeps being appealed, etc. And the Iowa Supreme Court, even though 4 years ago they ruled that your trash on the curb is not abandoned property. Now, just a few weeks ago, they decided, oh, never mind. we actually changed our mind about that because the state law changed. So how is this relationship supposed to work? Like, the court makes a decision and then the legislature ignores that and changes the law to ignore the court's decision.
Yeah. They didn't change the Constitution, you know?
Right. Right. So if the Supreme Court is ruling based on what's in the state constitution and they ruled this way at this time, and then the state changes the code directly contradicting what the court said a couple years ago, isn't that alteration to the state code also a violation of the state constitution? Isn't that how this is all supposed to work logically?
I think.
I think it is, right? Like, not that much time has passed. It's mostly the same people on the state Supreme Court. I didn't check the records to see who's left and who's replaced them or anything, but Justice Thomas Waterman wrote for the majority that the 2021 ruling hinged upon an ordinance in effect at the time in Clear Lake that forbade anyone but licensed trash collectors from taking trash put out for collection. The 2023 law, though, explicitly preempted such local ordinances and also held that garbage placed on the curb shall be abandoned under Iowa law.
I feel like that's something that really would piss conservatives off, the fact that you need to have a license to collect trash. Like, I can imagine some guy being like that libertarian guy who was complaining about having to have a driver's license.
Yeah. A garbage license?
To to throw away a piece of trash, to take it to the dump, I have to have a license?
What is this, 1984?
It's so fucked up.
The majority found that these two prongs of the statute are constitutional and can authorize trash searches, even if other parts of the law on their own might conflict with the court's prior interpretation of the Constitution. So somehow they're threading a needle. I'm not sure that this is really working, but they're basically saying, yeah, that state law that passed is good to go. However, this doesn't overturn our previous decision. Somehow it doesn't. This is a quote from Waterman's majority decision. The legislature has enacted legislation defining when property is abandoned in a variety of contexts. Nothing in Wright, the 2021 ruling, precludes the legislature from conclusively declaring that Iowans have abandoned any ownership rights in trash they placed in garbage cans for collections outside their homes in a publicly accessible place. So directly contradicting their previous decision. But I don't know. There is some funny stuff in the dissent. I believe this was only one justice dissented here. Why don't I have the numbers on this?
I think you're right.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, all but Matthew McDermott was the only one who dissented.
Matthew McDermott was the only dissenting justice on the Iowa Supreme Court. And here's a couple quotes in William Morris's Des Moines Register article from the dissent. Again, Justice McDermott. The legislature's disagreement with our determination that people do have a reasonable expectation of privacy in trash, and our conclusion that a warrantless search of trash thus violates constitutional safeguards, does not override our court's prerogative to interpret and apply the Constitution in cases before us. So basically, he thinks that this is essentially allowing the state to change the definition of words whenever they want. For example, they could pass a bill stating that a piece of property needed for a road project is no longer private, which is obviously relevant to the larger eminent domain battle that's ongoing. Or that rifles are not, quote, arms, to exclude them from the constitutional right to bear arms.
They're going to use this as a backdoor to ban our guns.
That's right.
That's so fucked up.
It's coming. They're definitely going to do that soon.
Definitely.
He also rejected the reasoning that trash on the curb can be deemed abandoned, arguing that residents have essentially no choice but to use municipal trash collection, and that, far from leaving the trash with no owner, the residents are simply conveying it to the garbage collector, as required by the city. So, this is a libertarian nightmare, right? Like, we're basically forced to use this, like, public service, and now they're also saying that in the use of that public service, your property becomes a free-for-all, especially by the state. Law enforcement is allowed to just, like, look at this property that's basically already being stolen from you.
Yeah.
So what do we do? I guess we just got to start burning all our garbage.
Yeah. If you're doing any political activities that are, outside of the main two parties, then watch what you're throwing away.
Yeah, don't put your your communist flyers in the garbage. I would be careful about that.
Those are legal
for now. Now I feel like this pairs well with another piece of news. You mentioned camera surveillance. When you're dumping your garbage in like a public dumpster to avoid its association with your own property. Well, look out for cameras, because there's more and more cameras popping up every day, right? Like, I don't even know, you don't even know where they are. Pretty much if you're outside, you're probably being recorded by something.
Yeah.
Like, all these fucking people with their Ring cameras and stuff, like, you can't even...
Oh my God. So many fucking Ring cameras. Literally, I was walking around the block and I heard one of those computer automated voices. It's like, you are being surveilled. Like, and it was like, not like a normal ass home. It wasn't like, it wasn't a very rich neighborhood or anything.
What is this, 1984?
Like, yeah, that's so fucking stupid. Fuck off. If you have one of those things, you are a cop. In your heart, especially in your soul, you're a cop.
Especially if you have one of those like Amazon connected ones, because like, do you really trust that they don't just have that in a massive database that law enforcement around the world can probably access?
Yeah, well, there was that site for a long time where you could just like people's like had security cams or whatever software or hardware hooked up like with default passwords, and you could just like get in and like look at people's webcams. My sister briefly had some kind of security camera set up, and at one point, I think they like left their door open or something, and the cops just showed up at their house and like went in, not even their front door, like their back door into their basement. Like they just entered their house, like in the middle of the night. It was like 10 or 11 at night.
Why?
And
why were they there?
Because the security system detected that there was like an intrusion or whatever.
Yeah.
And so the cops just showed up, like...
Oof. Yeah, so that like automated thing is probably enough probable cause for them to just come in, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's another danger, because
they got rid of it. They got rid of
it. I would after that, certainly. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know, like, there seems to have been a push to convince everyone that, well, you might as well just have a security camera, at least a few on your house. Just for peace of mind, right? Like, so many people just decided, yeah, that's worth, I should have that. But for probably almost every person, like, you don't gain anything from having it, right? It's honestly making people more paranoid if they have them.
Yeah.
Because, like, I've met people who will, like, check on their phone, like, while they're out, like, oh, let's see what's going on the cameras at my house. Like, what do you think's going to happen?
Yeah, or getting alerts anytime there's like movement outside your house.
Yeah.
Like, what do you need that for?
Oh, like, someone walks their dog past my house.
Yeah, who the fuck comes to your house other than like your friends, your family, Christian missionaries, door-to-door salespeople? Like, I don't understand.
The only I think productive purpose is you might end up with some interesting footage at some point. You know, if you just have a camera constantly on 24/7, eventually you might capture something interesting. It might be worth, you know, a 10-second viral YouTube moment eventually.
Yeah. Also, like, I mean, I've heard people like had shit stolen from your garage. Like, is that the end of the world? I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but is that the end of the world? Most people are not doing like fucking home invasions. They're like, they're stealing bikes, you know, they're stealing fucking whatever fucking.
It's like a crime of opportunity, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's not really the focus of this, but cameras are just the mass proliferation of security cameras. I'm reading from KCRG here. Eastern Iowa City considers using a helpful but controversial tool for law enforcement. Now, Eastern Iowa, that's where I live. So let's see which Eastern Iowa city this is. One city may join a growing number of places across Eastern Iowa using a controversial tool for law enforcement. Flock Safety gave a presentation at a work session to Coralville City Council members. Oh no, that's where I live. I'm only like a mile from the city council. They're putting these cameras on my house. Okay, this included license plate recognition cameras. The cameras read license plates and alert local law enforcement if it's registered to someone police are searching for. And then check this out. Data is deleted after 30 days. Do you buy that? Like, this seems like the data it's recording is like location and license plate, right? Which could be stored just as text. So it's not like it takes up a lot of space. So why would they be deleting it every 30 days?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, when they say data, it's pretty vague, you know. What data are they collecting and what are they deleting? Right.
Okay, so there are some of these cameras set up in Iowa City, and basically it's just recording every car that passes the camera at all times. So if you've driven through a place that has these cameras, local law enforcement knows. They have a record of that. And like, I feel like most people, if they understood that that's happening, wouldn't be comfortable with it. Because, like, why? I don't know. Like, why should the police be recording me every time I drive past a certain, like, public road? Like, why?
Because you are a suspicious individual, Justin.
Okay, well, let's leave me out of it. But every person's, like, driving habits are being recorded by law enforcement basically all the time. And I mean, do these, like, I hate to do like slippery slope stuff, but are they really only recording license plate numbers that come past? Like, these cameras, like, I'm going to say the name Ian Mallory soon, but like, he's not just using license plate cameras, right? Like, other types of cameras are also associated with this.
Yeah, I don't think there's really any, I don't know. I don't know what clearly defined like privacy protections are at play here, but it feels very murky and gray.
Well, and it's cop shit. So it's not like they're really going to be respecting the privacy of the citizens of the world. Like, the ACLU of Iowa has raised concerns with the cameras, saying they create a database with information on people's locations. Yeah. Well, yeah, just the general idea that your movements throughout the day are being tracked by anyone, let alone like cops, who maybe the people I least want to have that information.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird. Like, I'm not doing anything where it really matters, but there are people who are in like more precarious life situations than me. And the fact that they can be followed around all day by, I mean, what is this, 1984?
For real. This article does not include the word warrant. It's like, it's like, if people, it alerts law enforcement if it's registered to someone police are searching for. So like, it could just be, someone says that this person committed a crime. It's what it seems like, at least. Like, it's not like, they've, sent it to a judge and the judge has said, oh yeah, there's probable cause for a crime here. It's just like, oh, we're looking for you. I guess we're going to consult the license plate camera. Right.
Lieutenant Mike Mitsipitlik, with the Coralville City Police Department stressed, quote, "This is not something that does anything with facial recognition.
Oh, okay.
This is not."
Oh, that's cool then.
Then it's fine. It simply recognizes the car that you have registered with the state. It's not looking at your face, it's looking at your car.
Yeah,
well, what's the fucking difference? This does not go into the interior of the car. It doesn't look at the individuals driving. It is simply the license plate and the vehicle itself.
Yeah, so that's the thing is, like, I don't know. I'm somewhat ambivalent on traffic cameras. I can see the arguments pro and con, but that's not what this is at all whatsoever. Like, I feel like if a traffic camera was specifically to, do traffic violations, wasn't collecting any other data, I might not have a problem with it, but this is not that whatsoever.
Well, this is like NSA shit, just mass collection of data.
Yes.
Not for a specific purpose to like enforce traffic safety laws and shit.
Exactly.
It's simply to know, simply so that this massive, this is like a police and government thing, but Flock Safety is a private company. It's not just like this is not just a public good or whatever. Like, oh, we're just collecting all this data just so that we have it. It's like, well, I don't want you to have that. Like, there's a lot, especially given who's in charge of the government right now, and like how the idea of like probable cause and warrants is not, like, in effect, non-existent. Like, like, ICE does whatever the fuck they want all the time.
Yeah,
do you really want them to have a massive database like this?
In the context of what's happening in this country with, ICE, federal agencies, like FBI just snatching people off the street, like, it's very fucking bad precedent.
Yeah. Officials said they have already seen success with privately owned cameras in the city. See, another reason you should not be covering your house in cameras.
Yeah.
There's businesses in Coralville that already have them, and several surrounding agencies utilize them. This is another major red flag. Several surrounding agencies utilize them. This is not the Coralville Police Department. This is like the Flock Safety thing. If you install all these cameras, you can opt in to be sharing all of the data that you collect with your camera with the fucking cloud of Flock Safety cameras all over the country. And so agencies like all around, I have an example of this coming up. They've been a great asset for us. This is Mike Mitsapillik. Like I said, I've helped solve anywhere from simple hit and runs to missing persons to felony criminal cases. The city has budgeted $19,000 for the cameras. Other cities such as Cedar Rapids, North Liberty, and Dubuque already have these cameras in place. So, all right, there's that. I just have one example of what these cameras have been used for here in the United States. This is from the EFF, what is EFF? Electronic Freedom Foundation, right?
Yeah.
They have this piece about a resident of Texas who left the state to get an abortion elsewhere, right? So something that's illegal in one state, legal in the state where she was going to get the procedure done, right? So even in your like stupid world where states are allowed to outlaw abortion, much like our state, Iowa, like even in that system, if it's legal to do it somewhere else, people should be allowed to travel over there and do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But that's not what happened here, according to this EFF article. She got an abortion, so a Texas cop used 83,000 cameras to track her down. So a sheriff's office in Texas searched data from more than 83,000 automated license plate reader cameras, the exact cameras that Coralville is now considering installing, to track down a woman suspected of self-managing an abortion. This involved 6,809 different camera networks maintained by surveillance tech company Flock Safety. And that, of course, included states where abortion access is protected by law, such as Washington and Illinois.
Man, I remember people were very adamant that this would not happen when when Roe v. Wade was overturned. Yeah, it's... People were like definitely trying to like, I don't know, look for any kind of silver lining that they possibly could, which is, I guess the liberal, inclination, but yeah, it's fucking awful. I can't believe 83,000 cameras.
Yeah. And much like the Coralville police chief, every time a city considers these, it's sold to them as like, well, what if there's a missing person? What if like there's a kidnapping and we know the car that maybe took the kid? Don't you want to be able to find them quickly? But that's not what it gets used for. That shit doesn't happen that often.
Yeah.
You really need to spend like thousands and millions of dollars to put cameras covering every square inch of your city so that every 10 years you find a kidnapping victim? This isn't real. What is real is that like this is a Democrat-run city essentially in a increasingly right-wing state. And if you opt into this system, you are sharing the movements of all of your citizens with this mass surveillance system for a nationwide crackdown on like immigration and abortion law, essentially, is what I see this used as. It's what I can see this being used for most.
Absolutely. I mean, that's like what's motivating conservatives right now. Immigration, especially.
Let's punish people.
But let's punish people. But yeah, it's
and so I'm not going to read like the whole EFF thing, but they got a lot of their reporting from 404 Media also, which is one of the honestly one of the best like news outlets out there these days. But like this was based on a tip. Like somebody tipped this like local sheriff's office that this woman is going to get an abortion. And just based on that tip, this sheriff's office is able to search the whole country for this woman's car. Like, isn't that her own fucking business? I mean, obviously, that's what's... The whole thing is her fucking business. They shouldn't be passing laws in Texas restricting what she can do with her body. But shouldn't she be allowed to leave Texas? It's like, are we locked in? What the fuck? And like, weed is legal in Illinois. I'm only like an hour away from the Illinois border. Is the fucking state patrol going to follow me from my house over to Illinois? I drive over to Chicago sometimes. Are they going to follow me and make sure I'm not buying weed or something? I'm not, but...
I was going to say, that'd be cool if you did, but, I mean, I hope they wouldn't, do that. But it would be cool if you started smoking weed. I think it'd be funny.
Yeah, just just to get arrested. I'm doing this for the purpose of being surveilled. Okay, so like I said, I was going to bring up Ian Mallory, and just to emphasize how this is like a nationwide issue that Coralville is considering becoming part of the problem. I found this in a Reddit comment, so thanks to the Reddit users for digging this up. The city of Madera, California, had a city council meeting on May 7th where they received a bid from Flock Safety to, let's see, Flock Safety wanted to sell the city of Madera, California, $47,000 worth of their license plate cameras. And when they make these bids to various cities, they have like, what would you call it? Sponsors or like references of like satisfied customers, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Testimonials.
Yeah, right. So on page 42 of this, page 89, I don't fucking know. The City of Madera City Council meeting of May 7th. One of the customer references for Flock Safety is the University of Iowa Campus Police Department. Point of contact, Detective Ian Mallory. So a city in California, a local disgraced university detective is helping sell these surveillance cameras to a city in California. Why? Why are we involved in this?
Do you think those cameras were at that intersection where the trans protesters were arrested? That's not where they were arrested, but like
there's like a map you can look at where people have like mapped out where all these Flock Safety cameras are. I believe they have the license plate readers like at the exits of parking ramps in Iowa City. And I don't have this in front of me, but I know that this has happened where somebody of interest had their car parked in there and they used the license plate camera to like track when they left. I saw that in some like Discovery or something at some point. So he uses these cameras to what has he done? What have we talked about Ian Mallory doing for the past couple of years? Prosecuting trans protesters to the exclusion of anyone who's not trans, like me. And he's part of this, big network of cops sharing all this data with each other. And we know that they're like, was that a worthwhile thing for all those people to be prosecuted for being involved in a protest against speakers, seeking their eradication? Is that a good thing for us to be a part of? The prosecution of protesters protesting for their right to continue existing? No. Anyway, Coralville City Council next meeting is July 8th. Guess who has that on their calendar?
Yeah, hell yeah. I have recently gotten ads on like Instagram for these stickers that come in the shape of letters that you would have on your license plate. And apparently it's to like disrupt whatever, because I think the cameras are like infrared or something. Those are probably illegal. just FYI.
Yeah, I would guess that cops could definitely prosecute you for that, for just having those. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much in every jurisdiction. It's illegal to like alter your license plate in any meaningful way. Anyway, I thought that was interesting because I was like, I saw it and I was like, I think that's illegal. And then I looked it up. I mean, I guess, I don't know. Maybe it's helped someone, but
not the first ad I've seen on social media advertising an illegal product.
Oh, yeah. They were just trying to sell me straight up fucking drugs once on Instagram. I clicked on it and it was like a signal chat. And it was like literally like just trying to sell psychedelics. I was like, okay.
Yeah, I've seen that too. Selling mushrooms and shit. So yeah, I'm going to go to the city council meeting on July 8th and talk about the woman who was tracked across the country by 83,000 cameras, and stress that there's a lot of stuff that's illegal here in Iowa that the people in this room probably don't want to be illegal. And I think it should be stressed again that the abortion situation where this woman was tracked across the country was based on a tip. Somebody tipped off the police. So say you're helping like maybe an undocumented person that you're friends with needs to go to a doctor's appointment or something, right? And this goes along with state law. If you give that person a ride and somebody who hates you and your friend tells the cops, oh, this person's like smuggling an illegal immigrant or whatever, like they have a case against you now because they've tracked your car. They have a tip from somebody giving them probable cause to watch you. And like, this is basically what Steve Holt wants, is that if you transport an undocumented person from one place to another, well, that's smuggling. You're human trafficking now. And I think we should probably avoid giving law enforcement the tools necessary to make cases against people for helping each other.
Yeah. And then, states like Texas, I mean, they have laws that are like they have that law that's like, if you get an abortion out of state, then like a private citizen can like sue you for getting an abortion out of state. And then also, I'm sure I'm sure that ties in with that case that we're talking about. But like they're trying to extend the bounds of the law as much as possible to fucking catch up people they don't like in this fucking dragnet. It's fucking evil. Yeah.
Yep. Speaking of evil, let's return to a figure that we briefly mentioned on episode 195. You remember Pastor Sam?
Oh yeah.
This was a guy who wrote an opinion piece for the Iowa Standard where he was whining that Governor Kim Reynolds is basically not enough of a fascist for him.
I think he's been kind of vindicated with the eminent domain veto. She is, in fact, a rhino. She does not care about property rights.
Yeah. So I said at that time, this guy seems interesting. I should probably look into him a little more. And I finally did look into him a little bit more this week. I found a video of him from 2019. So this is quite old now. But he participated in something called the Stand Against Marxism Conference. So Stand Against awesome. Marxism, that's SAM. And his name is Sam also. So you know he made a joke about that.
It's perfect.
Sam Con. And basically the point of this is like a bunch of right-wing evangelicals talking about how Marxism is trying to infect their church.
Sounds reasonable.
I don't think is probably happening in the American Christian churches. I doubt there's a lot of Marxism going on.
No, I don't think there's that many. Well, there should be more, but there isn't that many Marxists in the United States.
Sure.
It's kind of been like systematically kind of like snuffed out, kind of tend to not want to talk about it here.
And I don't think infiltrating the church is probably a very viable strategy for spreading Marxism.
No. I don't think so.
If I were to think of who might be most hostile to the tenets of Marxism, it would be the American evangelicals, probably. So I got a few clips from this video that I thought were interesting. Here's a bit of an opening prayer to his speech at the Stand Against Marxism conference.
How to pastor, I'm going to go ahead and open up in a word of prayer. So let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we do just thank you for this day and thank you for the opportunity given us to come and to meet together and to hear so much about what is going on in the church, to gain connections with one another so that we can go and work together and fight for your principles and your word and present a true gospel. Father, we would just pray for this movie, Enemies Within the Church, Lord, that it would be funded. And Lord, that it would go out, and Father, that it would change many people's lives.
That's what I loved the most. Fairly normal prayer, and then it's like, also I pray that the Indiegogo is successful. Like they're hawking a movie at this thing. I'm supposed to take this seriously? You're just trying to collect donations for a movie?
That like a few people will watch, like people who are already Christians, and basically all of the profits will just go to people like Sam.
Yeah, some anti-Marxist Christian grifter convincing the congregations that like you should be terrified of Marxist infiltrators in your church. You better be paranoid. So what's the deal? Why do they hate Marx? Why? Well, let's hear what Sam thinks of Marx. Karl, this is Karl Marx, by the way. I don't know if we
not
specified
Groucho.
which Marx. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why in the world would we have pastors come and talk about why we should stand against Marxism? Well, Karl Marx said this. He said, "My objective in life is to dethrone God and to destroy capitalism." Let me say that again. My objective in life is to dethrone God and to destroy capitalism. Karl Marx wasn't just to come out and bring a political ideology or an economic ideology, but his main goal, his main objective in life was to dethrone God.
Okay. Now, I don't personally take issue with that being a goal of anyone. I mean, that's a lofty goal.
It is. God is very powerful.
Omnipotent.
God is
what they say.
the most powerful.
So to dethrone God is a very difficult task. However, I don't think Karl Marx ever said this.
I don't think that's true. In fact, I don't think Marx was very concerned with religion at all. I mean, there's like the opiate of the masses quote, which was basically like people create this illusion of religion because they are suffering in reality.
Right.
And then people like Sam are like, we need more people to suffer, so they come to church. And like Marx is bad because he wants to get rid of, economic exploitation and suffering caused by, this capitalism.
Right. Fewer people will turn to God
bad.
then. Yeah.
Right.
So I had heard this before, this quote attributed to Marx, and I was skeptical. So I did like a little bit of research. The furthest back I was able to track this was from W. Cleon Skousen's book, The Naked Communist, from 1958. Ever heard that name before, Evan?
No.
W. Cleon Skousen.
That's a good name, though.
Yeah, he was like a John Birch Society guy and a figure in the Mormon Church in the mid 20th century. So he seems to have made up this quote because nothing predates this seemingly to attribute dethroning God to Karl Marx. So I think this Mormon guy just made it up, and now guys like Sam are like, he really said that, and I can quote it now.
Yeah, and Marx also wasn't really even like about destroying capitalism. He was about analyzing capitalism. Like he was pretty adamant that capitalism was better than feudalism, and did some positive things for some people, but he was analyzing and saying like this system has contradictions within it that will cause it to collapse in the future and be replaced by something new. It's not like he wasn't a zealot by any means whatsoever. These people are 100% zealots.
Right. Yeah, it's more like this will be replaced. This is not the end state of society for these reasons. Yeah. All right. What about social justice? Because that's kind of the theory here is that social justice is like a Trojan horse of Marxism. Because you can maybe convince some Christians that social justice is something worth pursuing in the church. But what that really is Marxism in disguise. So here's what Sam says about social justice.
Gospel, not just something that's going to destroy capitalism, although it is the ultimate goal is one of the things is to destroy capitalism. It's not just something that will destroy Western society or civilization, but it is ultimately something that is aimed at our children in the nurseries to take their souls to hell. That is what the social justice gospel is. But before we can
So anybody who's trying to put a Christian spin on like racial equality, what they're really doing is dragging your children to hell. Is this a guy that you really want to listen to and take seriously? Like maybe if you're racist, like that's the only thing I can really take away from that.
I will say it does not look like the Stand Against Marxism conference is too particularly well attended. So that's one good thing.
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't know. Just like on its face, it seems like the guy telling you that any attempts at addressing racial inequity in America is really condemning your children to hell. That seems like a pretty plainly just a racist guy, right?
Yeah, I would say so. Their damn website is down. I was trying to go to www.standagainstmarxism.com, and it's not there anymore.
Yeah, it's too bad.
So disappointing.
So something that he takes issue with is sort of the notion that certain people have been oppressed in society and other people are the oppressors. I've heard this as like a critique of like the sort of Marxist framework, is that it's oversimplification or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I do think I think it's a very valuable lens to look at things through. But Sam has a very out there opinion about this framework, the oppressor versus the oppressed.
It's Marxism that has come within the church. And this key thing that we need to understand is that it was Jesus Christ who was oppressed. It was not us. We
you can hear someone in the audience go, yes.
Yes.
We have oppressed God. We have violated the character of God. That's what the gospel teaches. If we ignore this fact, here's the problem. It's impossible to be saved because you're being saved from the wrong thing.
So to address oppression during the life we're living right now, you're focusing on the wrong thing, right? Mm-hmm. You really should be focusing on getting right with God, I guess.
Again, we should all be suffering. We should all be suffering, and the only solution is God.
This
Submission.
is somebody who's seems to be very invested in the status quo hierarchy for some reason.
Wow. Interesting.
I really just loved when he said, "We have oppressed God."
Yeah.
You know, much like dethroning God, that seems like it would be difficult to do, to oppress God.
He's also a lot younger than I expected.
Yeah.
I don't know. For some reason, I don't know. I see Pastor Sam. I see him calling Kim Rhodes a rhino. I assume he's a boomer, but he doesn't look like, he's probably like 40.
Maybe. Yeah.
Maybe.
I think he's like
it might even be younger.
Curtin Ibis
Well, this
type,
is also 2019, but yeah.
5-6 years ago, yeah.
Yeah. It's a grift. I mean, all of the fundamentalist shit is a grift, pretty much.
Yeah. I just have a couple more clips from this that we can enjoy before we close the show.
And the real agenda is that we, as a group or a collective people, we have been oppressed by society. You have been oppressed by society, and so therefore we need racial retributions.
Racial retributions. Wow. Retribution to me sounds like could be a violent thing, right?
Yeah.
They'll go and say. This is really what the gospel brings. In fact, we're going to look at a quote about that, is that we need racial retributions reparations, excuse me. Racial reparations because
there's so much stumbling there.
Reparations.
He's so unprepared to discuss this. Racial reparations.
Oh, you've been oppressed because of the color of your skin. Oh, we need to fight for LGBTQ rights. That was in the infamous sermon of J.D. Greer, the president of the Southern Baptist Convention here just a few months ago on Romans chapter 1, that we need to be fighting for LGBTQ rights. No, we need to be fighting for LGBTQ souls is what we need to be fighting for.
What does that look like? What's different?
Making them not LGBT anymore.
Yeah, turning them straight. Is that what you mean? And he doesn't even really comment on like you've been oppressed because of the color of your skin. He doesn't really even like refute that because you can't, right? Like that clearly happens and has happened, and like his position is just that like, yeah, we can't and shouldn't do anything about that.
Yeah. That's not for the kingdom of God to be concerned with.
Yeah.
It's only about souls, saving souls.
Right? They don't want to touch on that. They would rather go and have a make-believe injustice and go tell people, hey, you've been mean, somebody's been mean to you, so you should feel bad, and we should go take their money from them, or we should go and make them fall down and repent for being a man, or something like that.
Projecting much. He gets the most animated about that. They're trying to tell me I can't be a man anymore, and they're trying to take my money that I earned from grifting off of fucking boomer Christians. Like,
yeah, and no coincidence that his voice gets way more annoying.
Oh yeah,
when he gets to that part. Like, they tell me I can't be a man or something like that. Kind of odd that you sound more and more like a bitch when you start complaining about that part. All right, and then this last bit I think is also very revealing here.
At our national conference, and last year it started while one preacher got up last year and he said, "Why are our churches so white?" Well, I live in a town that's 99.7% white. If we have 50 people that aren't white to show up, that's going to be really strange. It's critical race theory within the church.
So yeah, he says, if a bunch of black people showed up to our church, that would be really strange.
Yeah.
He says.
He keeps track of exactly how many white people live in his community. 99.7.
Good
yeah,
Lord.
not just 99%.
Why would that be so strange, Sam? Would that make you uncomfortable? Are you perhaps uncomfortable around black people?
I think you're not doing a very good job of saving their souls if you literally never interact with them.
You don't want them to show up at your church.
You were just so concerned about saving souls, and now you're talking. We need to just stay in our own communities. We cannot mix at all.
I think that my church should represent the demographics of our city. Like God's message is kind of constrained by demographics, it turns out.
Yeah.
God teaches actually that we should stick with our own kind. So I'm just going to do that.
Yeah.
That's what I learned from the teachings of Christ, is that I should not make any effort to reach beyond my own neighborhood. I don't know how you can like fucking read the gospel in any way and just think that like, yeah, Jesus wasn't aiming to like change anything here on earth.
Yeah, I know. It's so absurd.
He didn't preach against anything that was happening in society at the time.
No.
He was like, yeah, this is all chill. Don't worry about this, because what comes after is more important. I mean, obviously that is a part of the whole Christian mythos, but like, I mean, why did he do anything while he was alive then? Like, why is that part of the story there?
Yeah.
Pathetic. Anyway, I'm not going to be joining the church anytime soon if there's guys like that involved.
Oh, really? You're not, what if you're about to die? What if you've been drinking too much tap water and you get cancer and you're on your deathbed?
Confessional.
Deathbed, you're not going to convert? Even if the kingdom of heaven is just like, you can see it, you can almost see it, the light.
Now, if
the light's coming at you.
If I'm seeing it, like, I could probably accept it into my heart at that point.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah. Even if it is like some sort of like dying brain hallucination, I mean, I'm fine with that. I don't have any pride in, not believing in the afterlife,
That is kind of a flaw in Christianity, is that you can not be a Christian up until like, if you accept Jesus Christ in your final minute on this earth,
yeah,
then you're golden.
That's the way it works. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's, I don't know, that kind of, I feel like undermines guys like Sam, who are really, they're really about controlling your thoughts and behavior while you're alive, despite them saying that like all that really matters is that you go to heaven. I don't think he really thinks that.
I don't think so either.
Because like, if all that matters is that you do accept Christ, well, these like, Marxists in the church, they're gonna go to heaven. Like, there's no doubt that they have accepted Jesus Christ, right? You just disagree with the way that they preach about it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if you are following the doctrine of the New Testament, there's no doubt that those Marxists within your church are going to see the kingdom of heaven.
Yeah. There's nothing you can do. Marxists will always infiltrate the church.
None of your protestations will amount to anything, Sam. We've captured the sheep. Okay, so I think we've done a good job filling an hour today. We will not talk about Rob Sand today.
Oh my God. We almost didn't mention him at all.
I have to do that. One of us, if we don't talk about Rob Sand, one of us has to say his name before the show's over. But we might talk about him a lot next week. So look forward to that, everybody. All right, as we close the show, usual plugs for the Iowa Trans Mutual Aid Fund. It is about to be July, which means a bunch of them, the state code's going to change to remove gender identity from the Civil Rights Act, and Medicaid's about to stop covering a lot of hormone-related stuff, surgery-related stuff. So if you have the means, IowaTransMutualAidFund.org. A lot of people will be in need of money. By the way, that's another thing. There are states bordering ours where those procedures are easier to get. Should we allow the police state to watch people cross those borders and get those procedures and treatments that they need? I think not. Another thing to plug, something that's been taking off that I'm really glad to see, the Iowa City Community Fridge. You can find out all their information at Linktree Iowa City Fridge. So that's linktr.ee/Iowa City Fridge. It's located on Gilbert Street by the Wright House of Fashion, if you're interested in contributing in any way. Very happy to see that thing grow and become a successful resource in the community.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And so far, no intervention from local governments to try to shut it down. So hopefully that stays true.
Yeah, that's good. I would hope maybe Iowa City might be a little bit better about that than the city of Des Moines, for instance.
Yeah, I remember that. A couple of shows coming up that I would like people to know about. Phil Smith, a drummer from Omaha, and Measures of Agony, whose music we have played on this show before. It's kind of an ambient noise keyboard synth thing. Phil Smith and Measures of Agony will be playing at the Public Space One Cloud House on July 12th. I will be out of town. I have to miss it, unfortunately, but I did agree to help promote it. So July 12th, Cloud House, Phil Smith, Measures of Agony. And then a couple weeks later, July 24th, Collapsing and Francis Thornton are on tour from Virginia. That's more like noise and actually poetry stuff. Poetry plus noise. It's pretty cool. I listened to some of it earlier this week. They will also be playing at Cloud House, joined by me and Grain Bin Operettas. So I am playing that show, July 24th at Cloud House. Please come to the shows. Please support weirdo music and me and my friends. If you have any thoughts on anything we talked about today on Rock Hard Caucus, we would love to hear those thoughts. We have a phone number, 319-849-8733. You can leave a voicemail, tell us what you thought about the dumb bullshit we said. Or if you have additional insights into the actual serious and important stuff, we would like to hear that as well. 319-849-8733 is the number. A lot of those voicemails end up on our series Rock Hard Call Us, which I think is very fun. We listen to voicemails, read emails, text messages, stuff like that. You can text the number as well, by the way. And in fact, we released a new episode of Rock Hard Call Us just the other day, which you can access at patreon.com/rockhardcaucus. A $1 monthly subscription gets you every episode of Rock Hard Call Us and the 150 other podcasts that are up there. And actually this week we'll be releasing a new episode of Speed Freak Read Speak, which has already been recorded and edited and uploaded, but it's scheduled for release this Wednesday. Evan's first appearance on that show.
Yeah, I'm a Sonic fan now. I've been converted.
Yeah. That's right. All right. Music, by the way, we like to end every episode of the show with music. And this week we received a submission from a listener, listener Chad, who I believe is a new listener. He sent us a song called Siege of Barad Dur by his band Halakaf. Apologies to any Tolkien heads out there if I'm mispronouncing Barad Dur. That's probably some dwarf city or something. That's from one of the movies, right? The Siege of Barad-dûr, I think. I think it's in the Two Towers.
It's been so long since I've seen those movies or read the books, but
yeah, I love. There's some nerd out there screaming right now because I said something wrong. But Chad sent this to us. I do want to read a little bit about what he said. I heard about the Rock Hard Caucus podcast. I attended the June 14th, 2025 No Kings protest in Iowa City, where I heard Oliver Wyline speak. I appreciated his message and looked him up online after the protest. I found his appearances on Rock Hard Caucus and listened to all of them. Now I'm a fan of Oliver, Justin, Evan, other Rock Hard Caucus guests, and the podcast in general. And yeah, Chad lives in Fairfield right now, so he's one of those weirdos.
Yeah. We've talked about doing a Fairfield podcast, and
yeah, I'm going to try to make that happen sometime this summer,
nice.
Hopefully.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Chad said, thanks for consistently putting out podcast episodes and for speaking out against all of the bullshit that has been happening in Iowa and at the federal level. Well, thank you, Chad, for listening and for sending us your Lord of the Rings themed song, Siege of Barad-dûr by Halakaf. And if you want to be like Chad and send us your music, go to rockhardcock.us. There's a link near the top where you can send us your music, and I would love to hear it. And you could be the next Chad.
Wow, I can be a Chad?
Who wants to be a Chad?
Oh,
Step
man.
right up.
I've never been a Chad before.
Auditions.
I've been the opposite of a Chad for most of my life.
Yeah, the opposite of Chad is a virgin, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Is there a name for the other guy? Isn't there
like in
the meme?
Like the guy slouching versus the
Chad
cool guy?
and Stacy.
Stacy's the girl, though, right?
Stacy's the girl, Chad. Wait, is there even a name for the anti-Chad?
Well,
it's all stupid.
Like,
fuck this shit.
It's all like 4chan meme shit. I don't really care,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
In those charts where there's like the guy prancing versus the guy slouching, it's like the virgin versus the Chad.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, the guy all dressed in gray and looking at his feet.
I think that all virgins are cool. Chads are mostly cool too. Be who you want to be. Be your true self out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Embrace yourself and your limitations and your...
Sex is neither positive nor negative. You should not wrap yourself up into those ideas.
I would agree. And with that, we're going to stop recording. Thanks for listening. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
It's a bullet in